Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Kate toku ingoa, and kia ora everyone. My name is Kate and I am the Senior Manager Learning and Academic Engagement, and I'm from Te Mātāpuna Library and Learning Services at AUT University. So we've been doing learner support a little differently at AUT, and I'd like to tell you a bit about how our library team are getting our workshops and our resources in front of thousands of AUT students, and because of this, how we've been making an impact on learner success. So in this presentation, I'll aim to cover three things. First of all, I'll talk a bit about our embedded approach to academic and information literacy and how that works towards increasing learner success. I'll cover our asynchronous materials on your library on campus. And finally, I'll share some examples of the support that we provide to AUT students on how to use generative AI ethically and productively in assessments, as guided by AUT's new two-channel approach to generative AI. So at AUT, my team of learning advisors and librarians teach academic and information literacies to students. These cover 4 of the main skills as well as other skills like critical thinking and searching for information. These are the skills that contribute to academic discourse at university. Students need to understand and apply these in order to succeed in their assessments. What we know is that not understanding or not having these literacies hits some cohorts of students much harder than others, because academic discourse is no one's mother tongue. When most people think of learning advisors or librarians, they think of a person who helps or works with the student one by one to check an essay perhaps, or to help search with a journal article. In my team, we have 9 learning advisors and 5 information literacy librarians who work across all levels, all faculties, and all 3 campuses. Now at AUT, we have 26,000 students approximately. So that means we're looking at this sort of ratio for learning advisors, and it's even worse for the librarians on our team. And actually, that ratio gets even worse the more that you think about it. So given that each student might be studying 4 courses per semester, commonly with 2 assessment tasks per course, we're looking at around 21,600 pieces of submitted work that each learning advisor or librarian could be potentially involved with over 12 weeks. Now, AUT is not particularly bad. You can see that this is similar in Australia and in the UK. But when you look at these numbers, it's clear that this way of working doesn't work at scale. And actually, more than that, it's unsustainable and it's also inequitable. So a couple of years ago, my team started working in a much more sustainable and scalable way, and this is known as an embedded approach. So instead of working reactively and one-to-one, we go into courses and teach students how to succeed in their assessments in their course. So this includes teaching everything from finding information and working towards all manner of assessment types, including newer ones to reflect what's happening broadly in education. And it's across all levels of study, and it's through varying blends of teaching online and online resources. Most of our teaching now happens in courses, and we tailor the materials to assessments and disciplines so that they're relevant to those cohorts. And there are a range of workshops that are open for all students. We also provide resources for all students as well as those tailored for more specific courses. To do this, we work with lecturers, co-designing workshops and learning materials on specific assessments, and we follow these steps. We discuss the requirements and challenges. We analyse the assessments with samples of marked student work. We then draft materials and resources. We then team teach and debrief to make tweaks or refinements for the future. And with this approach, we're getting some excellent feedback, firstly from students, and the same very excellent feedback from lecturers as well. And the more that we do it, the better the reach is across our student cohort. So you can see here, so far, this is in 2025, at the end of March here, my team had delivered 182 embedded sessions, and we've reached over 6.7 thousand students. In comparison, you can also see we run general workshops. So we ran 173 here so far this year. And you can see we've seen 3,900 students so far. So it's still good numbers, but it's nowhere near as many attending as we get in the embedded workshops that we run. But regardless, we already know that we're reaching far more students than we possibly could have if we were still working reactively one-to-one. But what about the impact of these embedded teaching sessions? I thought I'd give you an example of a project that we've been working on in the School of Engineering, Computer and Mathematical Sciences, ECMS. This project was jointly initiated by the Associate Head of School and the Director of Māori Development. And the main objective here was to uplift the success of Māori and Pacific students by embedding information in academic literacy skills. It was a fairly big cohort of numbers, 400 to 500 students in semester 1 and 150 to 200 in semester 2. And the main assessment was a team project, which was identified as being very complex and challenging for the students as it involved a significant writing component. So the team analysed the assessment and found some key information literacy areas to cover, as well as some main teaching points for the written components. A closer look at the writing samples, the student writing samples and the sources used in them, highlighted some key challenges for the students, being able to select a topic and then to sort of sufficiently narrow it down. And this formed the basis of our face-to-face workshop Canvas resources. So we started working with this paper in 2023, and have a look here. You can see the results from 2023 are in orange. And you can compare them with 2022 and then the results that we've got from 2024 so far. So, of course, with any research into teaching interventions like this, there are always going to be many, many factors that play into the increase in pass rates. So while you can't draw any significant conclusions, it is clear that you can see a general indicator of improvement after the embedding work. Okay, so that covers the face-to-face work that we've been doing, where we've increased our reach by changing our focus and our service. But we've also been working very hard and very smart on our asynchronous resources, and we've been building out what we call Your Library on Canvas. Now, to do this, we went into Arian, which is our student management system, and we pulled out the most common assessment types per faculty. Then we worked with lecturers across the faculties to co-create discipline-specific annotated exemplars of assessments that the students are expected to do in their courses. So, for example, writing a case study differs across all of these disciplines. Each example in Your Library on Canvas is based on a real assessment sourced with the consent from the student. So each example has the steps on how to do the assessment, so you can see that here, and an annotated example. This is an example from law. And basically this means that students can see what to do, the steps of how to do it, and what their finished work needs to look like, which is something that is often missing in tertiary education. And it's working. So far this year, Your Library on Canvas has had over 123,498 page views and almost 11,000 unique student views from January to the 31st of March. So we're getting the students are using this and looking at it. As well as this, we've been doing some research onto these resources. So Dr. Mark Bassett and my team has led 2 rounds of ethics-approved UX research. And using this feedback that we've got from the research, we've refined the resources more so that they become more and more useful for students. And here's some feedback. This is from students that we got whilst doing the UX research. And we've got some great feedback from lecturers on these resources as well. Okay, but in terms of following up on the impact of our team's approach, we've got some more work to do, I think, which is great because we've just got ethics for our new research project. It's called Impacts and Descriptions of Embedded Academic Literacy, IDEAL. And it's a one-year mixed methods research project, which focuses on a project to embed academic literacy development into a large first-year undergraduate core course. We're currently in the gathering data phase of this project, but we hope to be able to report on it next year. All right, part 3. Finally, I'll talk a little bit about the work on generative AI that we've done to support students. So you can see we've got your library on Canvas here. We've spent some time building out these pages to include instructions and assistance on using Gen AI ethically and productively. So we've got a page which is sort of single source of truth about Gen AI for AUT. For students, and it covers a range of frequently asked questions, including how do I use Gen AI ethically, how do I reference it. We've also run an advertising campaign, which we aimed at trying to get students to engage with Gen AI ethically and productively, and we offer a variety of workshops, some specific just to Gen AI, like these ones, but we've actually incorporated it into most of our workshops because it's a skill that students need to be able to use these days. Our embedded work as well, we're getting a lot of requests around teaching Gen AI literacies as part of that piece of work that we do. And finally, we've also been contributing to the Cognity project. This is run by the Office of Learning, Teaching and Educational Design at AUT and led by the University of Sydney. In this project, teaching staff are designing bespoke agents to provide students with personalised context-dependent Socratic tutors. So here's an example one of my team has made about making an APA referencing agent. So hopefully we'll take the person out of that equation and students can ask the questions of an AI bot or an AI agent. So my team is research active in this space. So I've put together a few of the research publications my team has put out recently on all this work that we've been doing. So feel free to have a look at those. And thanks very much for your time. If you've got any questions, please feel free to send me an email at AUT.